Have you felt alone lately? Different? Maybe like you're somehow disconnected from the world? If so, listen to me carefully, because this is no coincidence. There is a reason why you are feeling this inner isolation. Right now, as you are reading these words, you are already on a path that is meant for you. Yes, you are chosen. And you are not alone. This experience of isolation is just the beginning of an extraordinary journey that the universe has prepared especially for you. Now you may be asking yourself, why me? Why do I feel so different, so removed from the world that is raging around me? The answer may surprise you. You feel isolated because the universe, or God if you prefer, is trying to connect with you on a deeper level. It's not that you've been cut off, it's that you've been cold. Imagine this: when an artist creates a masterpiece, they often retreat, away from noise and distractions, to focus on their vision. And that's exactly what's happening to you. You are a chosen one, and this feeling of isolation is a sign that the universe is working with you. It's almost as if you are being brought into an inner space, a sacred space, where you are being prepared for something bigger that is coming your way. In this phase of isolation, in the silence, away from the crowd, magic happens. You may not feel it yet, but you will soon realize that this is the space where your inner transformation begins. It is here that you will grow, where your destiny slowly takes shape, even if you do not fully understand it yet. The feeling of being different, isn't that the sign of the greatest changemakers, the greatest minds in history? Those who truly moved the world were often those who felt different, isolated from the conventions of society. They felt this deep chasm between themselves and the masses, not because they were less, but because they were destined to be more. Just like you. You are in this world, but you were not created to simply be a part of it. No, you were created to shape something new, something special. And this isolation that you feel is just the beginning. Maybe you've asked yourself, what does it all mean? Why am I so alone? Why doesn't anyone seem to understand me? It's quite simple. Most people can't understand what they've never experienced themselves. They can't grasp why you feel isolated because they're not on the same journey as you. Your journey is unique, and it is not designed to fit into the ordinary expectations and perceptions of the masses. So the loneliness you feel is not a sign of loss or failure. It is a sign that you are on a path that few will ever walk. But here is the exciting news. You are not destined to remain in this isolation forever. This phase is only temporary, a transition. It is the space between the old and the new, the space where your next chapter is being prepared. It is a sacred place where the greatest transformations take place. And when you go through this process, you will no longer be the same person. You will be strengthened, clearer, and ready to take on the role you are destined for. Now imagine how it all makes sense. How everything you have experienced so far, the loneliness, the moments of confusion and doubt, are actually all pieces of the puzzle that come together to reveal something big to you. You are on the threshold of a new realization. And what's more, at the end of this journey, you will understand why you had to take this path. Why this isolation was necessary to prepare you, to lift you to the next level of your life. You will realize that you will not only survive this time of isolation, but that it will be the key to your greatest breakthrough. And when you experience that breakthrough, you will look back with clarity and know that every moment of loneliness, every moment of being different, has brought you exactly where you need to be. So hang in there. Stay with it. Your time is coming, and it will be greater than you could ever have imagined. Now we turn to the first reason why you feel isolated. It is no accident that you have withdrawn. It is not a whim of fate, but a crucial step on your spiritual journey. The isolation you are experiencing now is the preparation for a profound spiritual transformation. It may feel painful, like an endless desert through which you wander without knowing where it ends. But it is in this desert, in this silence, that the magic happens. God or the universe has consciously pulled you out of the crowd to prepare you for the next stage of your life. Yes, you are being polished, just like a rough diamond that forms in the deepest layers of the earth to then emerge as a radiant jewel. Imagine an artist retreating into solitude to create his masterpiece. He needs this silence, this inner retreat, to detach from everything that distracts him, to fully focus on his vision. This is exactly what is happening to you now. You are like this artist, retreating from the distractions and noise of the world to prepare for a deeper level. Your retreat is the space where you are being honed, where you are growing and maturing, even if it doesn't feel like it at the moment. This is the moment where you are laying the foundation for the next phase of your life. You may feel an inner emptiness or a sense that nothing is moving forward. This is normal. Before every great transformation comes a period of silence. It is the calm before the storm of change that brings with it everything you long for in your deepest self. This isolation is necessary to pave the way for something greater. God is preparing you by leading you into a state of solitude so that you can come to terms with yourself. Because before you can change the world, you must first change yourself. In this time of retreat, you are encouraged to look inward. There are no more distractions, no outside influences that could prevent you from dealing with your innermost feelings and wounds. And this is exactly where the opportunity lies. Because in this solitude, you have the opportunity to recognize your deepest fears and blockages. All the things that may have unconsciously held you back are now coming to light. They become visible in this silence, so that you can face them and heal them. It is like a gardener who pulls out the weeds before planting the flowers. You are preparing the ground for something wonderful, and it starts inside you. If you can manage to devote yourself to this inner work, you will be surprised at the transformation that will take place within you. You will emerge from this phase stronger, clearer, and more connected to your true self. It is as if you are getting a new view of the world, a view characterized by wisdom and inner strength. But to get there, you have to be willing to accept this silence and go through the inner process of healing. It is important that you understand, this isolation is only temporary. It is not the end, but the beginning of something new. Like the dawn after a long night, this phase heralds a new consciousness. You will reach the point where you suddenly realize why you went through all this. And that point will feel like an epiphany. You will understand that this time of retreat was necessary to lay the spiritual foundation you need to move to a higher level. Remember, no one grows in the comfort zone. True transformation always happens where we feel the most insecure, where we are confronted with our deepest fears. And in this isolation, you will be forced to face those fears. But know that this is not a sign of weakness, but of strength. It shows that you are ready to step into the next level, that you are ready to live your true purpose. At the end of this phase, you will emerge with a clarity and understanding that you did not have before. You will see the world with new eyes, and you will realize that you were not chosen by chance. You were sent on a journey that will lead you to your highest destiny. And that destiny begins right here, in isolation, in silence, where you are being ground inwardly like a diamond that will soon shine in all its glory. If you feel that this video has been of value to you so far, I would be happy if you shared this value with a donation through the Super Thanks button below the video, as much as seems right and fair to you. Every gesture of appreciation is a precious gift to me, and it is your donations that make all this possible. Next, we will talk about the second reason why you feel isolated. You may wonder why the universe or God is shielding you from the world, why you have been removed from friends, acquaintances, or even your usual environment. But the truth is that this isolation is for your protection. It is like an invisible shield that the universe has placed around you to protect you from outside influences that could distract you from your true path. Imagine that you are in an energetic cocoon, safely wrapped up so that you can emerge from this phase strengthened and protected. You have probably noticed it yourself. There are numerous external energies in the world that surround us every day. Some of them are positive and uplifting, but many are disturbing, negative, and can subtly distract us from our true path. These negative influences can unsettle you, confuse your thoughts, and distract you from your mission. When we are in the midst of all this noise and chaos, it is difficult to think clearly, let alone focus on what is truly important. That is why you are in this phase of isolation now. It is to preserve you and protect you from the destructive energies and false influences that could otherwise alienate you from your true self. It is as if the universe has placed you in a kind of spiritual retreat where you are protected, where no outside forces can disturb your inner peace. This isolation is not a sign of rejection, but a sign of protection. It gives you the time and space you need to reorganize and gain clarity about your path. Imagine you are wandering around in a dense fog. Every direction you turn seems full of uncertainty because your vision is obscured. In this situation, it is impossible to make a clear decision or find your way. Isolation is like a moment of light, when the fog lifts and you can finally see where you are going. The noise and the many voices that surround you disappear, and you can hear your inner voice again. This clarity is crucial for your spiritual journey. After all, How can you follow your inner compass if it is constantly drowned out by the voices of others? You see, this time of retreat allows you to separate your true self from the opinions and expectations of others. It is an opportunity to let go of all the foreign energies that you may have unconsciously absorbed and to reconnect with your own inner light. In the silence and seclusion, you can finally feel what is true within you. You become aware of your own thoughts and emotions without the influence of external forces. This isolation is therefore a sacred time of cleansing. It frees you from outside influences and creates space for clarity and truth. Another aspect of this protection is realignment. Perhaps you have been distracted from your path. Perhaps you have begun to fulfill the expectations of others instead of following your own truth. In this isolation, you have the chance to realign yourself, to focus and to gather your energy. It is like a sword forged in the flames. You will be sharpened and strengthened during this time of isolation. When you step back into the world, you will not only be stronger, but also much more aware and clear in your mission. Your protective shield will help you to stay focused, and you will no longer be easily confused or distracted by outside influences. This period of isolation serves to give you the inner strength and confidence you need to stand firm in the world. Once you are ready to step out again, you will be able to resist the negative energies and influences with greater ease. You will have a clarity and strength that will enable you to recognize your true path and walk it with determination, without being distracted by the opinions and influences of others. Think of this isolation as a protected space where you will be prepared for the challenges that lie ahead. It is a space where you will be cleansed and realigned internally so that you can emerge from this phase with clarity and determination. This protective shield will give you the time and space to stabilize and heal energetically before you re-enter the world. And when you do, you will emerge stronger and more steadfast than ever before. Ultimately, this period of isolation will not only leave you better protected, but also more aware and clear about your true mission in life. This clarity will guide you, and your energetic cocoon will give you the strength you need to return to the world and fulfill your destiny. Now we come to the third reason why you feel isolated. This period of loneliness you are experiencing may have a deeper meaning than you have recognized so far. Perhaps you have wondered if this isolation is more than just a temporary condition, and you are right. It is possible that you have been called to a special path that few walk. Perhaps it is your destiny to become a hermit or a spiritual teacher. This isolation could be a sign that you are growing into a role that goes far beyond ordinary life, a role in which you will serve others as a light and a guide. Consider the journeys that many spiritual teachers, mystics, and sages have taken throughout history. They all went through periods of deep isolation, periods of retreat from the world in order to better understand themselves and deepen their connection to the universe. Buddha, Moses, Jesus, all these great teachers and prophets spent time in solitude before bringing their wisdom to the world. They went within, seeking answers in silence, and it was there that they received the deep spiritual insight that they later shared with others. This period of solitude was not only a test for them, but also a training for their later role as spiritual leaders. And perhaps that is exactly your task now. The isolation you are experiencing is not a punishment, and it is not a coincidence. It is a preparation for something greater. Perhaps you are destined to share wisdom and spiritual knowledge with others. You may already feel a deep inner urge to guide others, to help them on their path. This loneliness could be a sign that you have been chosen for this role, that you are the one who inspires others and shows them the way, which they themselves cannot yet recognize. Take a moment to listen deeply within yourself. Do you feel this calling? Do you feel drawn to wisdom, to inner silence and spiritual insight? This isolation you are experiencing could be the phase in which you are being prepared for this sacred task. In silence, you develop the clarity and strength necessary to bear this responsibility. Because before you can help others, you must first help yourself. You must first unlock the secrets of the universe within yourself before you can share them with others. But it's not just about gathering spiritual knowledge. It's also about the discipline needed to become a spiritual teacher. Isolation offers you the opportunity to develop this discipline. You learn to dwell in silence, to find strength in solitude, and to master your mind. This mental and spiritual discipline is invaluable if you want to lead others, because it takes immense inner strength to remain calm and composed while you guide others through their own storms. And you gain this strength through the solitude in which you now find yourself. It may be that this isolation leads you down a hermit's path. Perhaps you feel that the world as it is no longer what you are looking for. Perhaps you are drawn to the silence of nature, to seclusion, where you can connect even more deeply with your inner self. Hermits were highly regarded in many cultures because they were the ones who, by turning away from the world, recognized deeper truths. But even if you do not retreat into solitude permanently, you could still choose the path of a spiritual teacher. A teacher who helps others find the answers within themselves. A teacher who spreads wisdom and acts as a beacon in the midst of worldly life. So consider your calling. This period of isolation could be the gateway to a new chapter in your life, where you no longer live for yourself but act as a spiritual guide for others. Every great teacher was first isolated, tested and molded before going out into the world to guide others. And that is what may be happening to you right now. Your retreat is not only for your own healing, but also to prepare you to help others on their path. The discipline you develop now will be the foundation for your future work. Ultimately, it is about gaining the clarity and wisdom you need to emerge as a spiritual teacher through this isolation. Your journey within is the key to your future role. You will realize that you have to go through this phase of loneliness in order to gain the strength and knowledge you need to show others the way. And when you step back into the world, you will no longer be the same. You will take on a new role, as a guide, as a teacher, as someone who helps others to recognize spiritual truth and step into their own light. The isolation you experience is therefore more than just a phase of retreat. It is the preparation for a calling that is greater than you might imagine. It shapes you, it strengthens you, and it teaches you how to help others begin their own journey. If you accept this challenge, you will discover that you are called to show others the way, whether as a hermit, a teacher, or someone who shares the wisdom gained in solitude with the world. Now we come to one of the most important elements of your journey: trust in God or the universe. You may wonder why all this is happening, why you have to go through this isolation, why you feel cut off from the world around you. But let me tell you, there is a plan that is bigger than you can imagine right now. And this plan, as invisible as it may seem, is being woven by a higher power that is preparing you for something you cannot yet see. It is now time to develop a deep trust in this divine or universal plan. Trust is the key to getting through this period of uncertainty and loneliness. Often life feels chaotic, as if nothing really makes sense. You may wonder why you are facing these challenges, why you have to go this way of isolation. But the universe, or God, weaves with invisible threads that we often only recognize later. Perhaps you have already experienced moments when you suddenly realize that everything that seemed chaotic or painful before fit together in a way you never expected. It is the same now. Your isolation, as difficult as it may feel, is part of a larger plan that is slowly unfolding. Imagine you are in a dark room. You can't see the walls, you don't know the way, and there seems to be no exit. But while you are standing in this room, someone is working behind the scenes. The furniture is being moved, doors are being opened, rays of light begin to penetrate the room. And even if you can't see it yet, it is still happening. This is how the universe works. Even if you can't see the threads, they are still being woven, and they are shaping the next phase of your life. All you have to do is trust and pay attention to how little signs and synchronicities show up in your life. They are indications that the plan is in motion. It can be hard to let go of the need to control, especially in times when we feel insecure and isolated. We have the need to understand everything, to direct everything, and to control everything. But sometimes the greatest act of courage is to simply surrender to the flow of life and trust that everything happens for a reason. This isolation you are experiencing is not there to punish you or make your life difficult. It is part of the divine plan that is preparing you for something greater than what you can imagine at the moment. When you start to embrace this process, when you truly let go, you will find an inner peace that is deeper than anything you have known before. If you feel that this video has been of value to you so far, I would be happy if you shared this value with a donation through the super thanks button below the video, as much as it seems right and fair to you. Every gesture of appreciation is a valuable gift to me, and it is your donations that make all this possible. The path of faith is not an easy one. It requires trust, especially when things don't seem to make sense. But that's exactly what isolation demands of you, that you develop the faith that everything that happens is for your highest good. Perhaps in this phase you will learn how strong your faith really is. You may be able to take your faith in God or the universe to a deeper level than you ever thought possible. Because once you realize that everything that happens in your life has a purpose, isolation will no longer seem like a burden, but like a gift. Remember, every great journey begins with a step into the unknown. You may not know where this path will lead you, but you can be sure that it will take you exactly where you need to be. This path is not a detour, but a spiritual process that prepares you. You will emerge from this time of loneliness stronger and clearer, and you will realize that every challenge, every moment of uncertainty, has served to shape and guide you. Your isolation is part of a higher plan, and your trust in that plan will give you the strength and peace you need to continue on this path. Letting go and accepting. These are the keys that will help you to let go of control and trust the process. If you do that, you will see that everything that happens to you is part of a greater preparation. You will realize that isolation is not the end, but the beginning of something new. A new chapter that is just waiting for you. Trust in the invisible threads that the universe weaves for you. You don't have to know the whole plan to take the next step. All you have to do is follow the belief that everything happens for a reason. Your isolation is the soil in which your future growth will flourish. And once you have entered the path of faith, you will see that you were never alone. God or the universe was always by your side, guiding and protecting you, even in the darkest moments. Now is the time to trust that all of this is happening for you, not against you. Believing that there is a higher plan will give you the strength to get through this period of isolation with renewed courage and confidence. Your path will become clearer, and you will realize that isolation was only part of the process of preparing you for something greater. And now, after going through the stages of isolation, you are about to step back into the world, but this time with a new light, a new awareness and a wisdom that you have acquired during your time of retreat. This phase of isolation, which once seemed so dark and confusing, was never meant to last forever. It was always just a temporary state, a necessary part of your spiritual growth. And now that you have learned the lessons, mastered the inner struggles and gained the deep insights, this phase is coming to an end. You are ready to go out into the world again, but not as the same person you were when you entered isolation. Imagine emerging from isolation like a butterfly emerging from its cocoon, ready to spread its wings. Your time of silence and solitude has given you the inner strength and clarity you need to begin your next phase. Now is the time to take the wisdom you have gained in isolation out into the world. You were isolated so that you could grow and flourish, and now you are ready to embrace this new beginning in your life. It is time to fulfill your divine or universal purpose, the purpose for which you were prepared during your isolation. Perhaps you already feel it. The connection you now have with the universe or with God is stronger and deeper than ever before. During your isolation, you learned to pay attention to the subtle signs that were sent to you. You discovered how the universe weaves in invisible threads and how your journey, painful as it may have been, has always led to a greater purpose. This connection will now become your constant companion. You are no longer a passive participant in the game of life, but a conscious creator of your reality, with a clear understanding of your role in the greater whole. And here's the exciting part. The path that once seemed so unclear and nebulous is now clearly in front of you. You now know why you were isolated, why you had to go through this phase of retreat. The answers you have been seeking for so long are now anchored within you. With each step you take now, you take it with a new clarity and a deep trust in your path. Your awareness of your destiny has grown, and you are ready to enlighten the world with this new light. It is as if the fog that once obscured your view of your future has finally lifted. You now see clearly what your next step is, and more importantly, you know that you have the strength to take that step. The universe has guided you through isolation to prepare you for this mission, and now the time has come to put it into action. You are no longer plagued by uncertainties, because you have the certainty within you that your path is guided by a higher power. Perhaps you were once full of doubt, wondering if this time of loneliness would ever end. But now you realize that this phase was necessary to shape you, to strengthen you, to give you the clarity you need to step out into the world and live your truth. Your return to the world is not a relapse into the old, but a powerful new beginning. You now bring with you your new wisdom and your strengthened consciousness. And these qualities will guide you as you fulfill your divine or universal purpose. Imagine how you will now continue on your path, but this time no longer as the one who feels lost and isolated. You walk with a firm step, with a clear awareness of your role in this world. Your isolation has not only helped you to recognize yourself, but also to understand how you can use this experience to influence the world. You now know that your loneliness has given you the opportunity to strengthen yourself and gain the wisdom you need to help others. Because that is what matters now. You are not on this path just for yourself. The wisdom you have gained is meant to be shared. You are now ready to be a light for others, a guide for those who may still be in their own isolation. You have the tools, the experience, and the knowledge to show them that this period of retreat is only part of the bigger plan, and that they too will one day step back into the world, stronger, clearer, and more aware. The end of your isolation does not mark the end of your journey, but the beginning of a new one. You are now stepping into the world with a mission, a purpose that is greater than yourself. And as you fulfill that purpose, you will realize that everything you have learned in isolation has perfectly prepared you for it. Your path is clear, your consciousness is heightened, and the universe is with you every step of the way. Keep trusting this process, because you are exactly where you are meant to be. The end of isolation is just the beginning of a life filled with deep wisdom, inner strength, and a clear sense of purpose. Now is the time to shine your light on the world and make your unique contribution. Isolation has prepared you for this mission, and now you are ready to embrace it with open arms. I hope you have learned something that you will carry with you for a long time. I know that all this may be a bit overwhelming. That's how I felt at the beginning, and I had more questions than answers in my head. Nevertheless, I think this video, which you can see here, could be particularly helpful to you in your current situation. I know you are looking for more answers. You will find them in this video, so click on it now and watch it.